Time now for Back Pages tonight here on Sky Sports News, bringing you a first look at the sports stories in the morning's newspaper. Very pleased to say, joining us tonight from Paris are Sean Ingle, Chief Sports Reporter at The Guardian, and Andy Dunn, Chief Sports Writer for The Mirror and Sunday Mirror. Gents, it's great to have you here. Welcome to you both. Well, no surprises, the Olympics dominates the back pages. Let's start then with the male. Double delight. Swimming dominates their back page, and it is Britain claiming the fourth gold of the Paris Olympics in the 4x200 metres freestyle relay team, who retained their title. Messrs Guy, Dean, Richards and Scott. Andy, how much of an achievement is that in swimming to defend a title 3 years on, of course, from Tokyo?
Yeah, and not only defend it, Teddy, but, have the pressure of going in as overwhelming favourites to defend it. And also, after two near misses in the pool, I was at the pool last night where Matt Richards was the night before last. They all blared into one a little bit, but when Matt Richards was touched off by 0.02 of a second, exactly the same margin that Adam Peaty failed to win gold by. And you're beginning to think for the Team GB Olympic swimmers that it wasn't going to be their games. But these guys were our main hopes, our best hopes of a gold medal, and they've delivered. And they've delivered in some style tonight as well. So I think there's be a real weight off Team GB's shoulders, the aquatics team, the swimming team, and to deliver under pressure when they needed to. A fantastic achievement, and hopefully it will set them up for the last few days of the meet, and hopefully they can get a few more medals in the bag.
Uplifting night, uplifting headline in the Sun, Sean. Paul and the gang play on Kool and the Gang, of course, and their famous song, Celebrate Good Times Come On. And they should be celebrated, shouldn't they, Sean, as well, up against stiff opposition. This is a prestigious event.
Absolutely, and they beat the US and Australia with more than a second to spare. And those of us that grew up in, the 80s and, you might have had the occasional medal here and there, to actually take on these two big powerhouses and beat them is quite, stunning. And I guess we don't really talk about Duncan Scott as one of our great Olympians, but he's now won his 7th Olympic medal, which puts him onside Chris Hoy in 3rd place out of the whole TGB's most decorated Olympic athletes. And he's going to be in a couple of relays as well, so he may well go above that. So it's a heck of an achievement.
Yeah, there's a broad range of sports. We'll get on to all of them, Andy, that feature in the Olympics. But swimming is one that everyone can have a go at. They've got a local pool, haven't they? How inspirational could this be? I know my nephew was mentioning Richards the other night and missing out on that gold.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everyone can go down and do it. I mean, I just think these characters as well, they speak so well. When even in defeat, Adam Peaty came across brilliantly. Matt Richards, when he was beaten in the 200 metres, well, when I say beaten, won a silver medal, it's not a question of getting beaten, it's a question of winning silver. He spoke fantastically well as well. And I just think there's a really good, absolutely, what Sean says is correct. It's easy for this generation to maybe forget or not know there was a time when we weren't great in the pool. And now we are, and these men and women, have performed. Listen, they maybe haven't achieved exactly the heights that they hoped they'd get to at this Games so far. There's still time left. But I think the way they've conducted themselves and the way they've applied themselves is a great example, to kids. Like a lot of these sports are, Teddy, to be fair. There's so many sports here that you just go out and try yourself.
Absolutely. Well, may the inspiration continue. Let's get to the Telegraph front page, which covers the swimming and the tennis. Splash and grab. GB joy after winners retain 4x200 metres freestyle relay title, and Murray and Evans roll back years with doubles fight back. Sean, they're up against a kind of, pedigreed doubles partnership. How impressive that Murray's and Evans are pulling this together, seemingly with very little prep time.
Well, Andy Murray really doesn't want to retire, does he? I mean, him and Dan Evans say 5 match points in their first game at Roland Garros. I was watching some of that game tonight, and they played a lot better. They had 2 match points in the second set, and then they were 2 match points down and still managed to beat the Luxembourg pair. And we're probably getting ahead of ourselves, but if they can keep going, they're on the opposite side of the draw to Carlos Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal. And it would be some achievement if we could see those pairs up against each other in the final in a few days' time. That's probably looking too far ahead. But for now, Murray lives to fight another day, and which is great news.
Absolutely. Andy, what's your take on it as well? Because I suppose the concerns over Murray's body, have they abated a little bit? He looked pretty sprightly, didn't he? Certainly springing around like a rabbit at the end of the match to celebrate.
I was on the court for his first round game. Miraculously, somehow they won. Sean mentioned it there, saving 5 match points. And I have to say, he didn't look too sprightly in that game, and he certainly didn't look too sprightly in the first set of that game. You actually thought, hang on a minute, this is a guy who had a back operation, a couple of months ago? A guy who's had some physical issues for quite some time towards the end of his career. He certainly didn't look sprightly, but then towards the end of that match, he picked up, and by all accounts today, again, bounding around the court, the player, I think, of all 4 players, I think he was the best today by all accounts. It's remarkable, but you know what it does? It's just, and I wrote this after the first round game, it's just so fitting that he ends his career in a never say die fashion. If anything typifies Murray, it's coming back of not knowing when he's beaten. Simple as that. And he actually pointed out to us that he has the record for the most times a player's ever come back from 2 sets down, which exemplifies his spirit. He just never, ever gives up. 5 match points of the night, 2 match points against them tonight, and they're through. It's remarkable. He is literally, Andy Murray's scriptwriters are in overdrive.
That's a powerful stat, that, Andy. Let's get to the inside of the Telegraph, Sean, on that kind of note. Murray produces latest get-out-of-jail card to prolong grand farewell. He's got 3 Grand Slam titles, hasn't he, and 2 Olympic golds in singles that precede this, Sean. But could this be, I don't know, his greatest story in a bizarre kind of way if he was to pull this one off?
Well, he has talked in the past about how he holds his 2 Olympic titles right up there with his 3 Grand Slams. And I think, we were all there at Wimbledon where he played his last ever match. And frankly, he was barely off the operating table. He could barely move. And it was actually quite sad watching someone that was famed for his defensive ability, his grit, his fight. He still gave it his all, but his body wasn't obeying him. And we're seeing signs. His body might be half mechanical these days with his metal hip and his back surgery and everything else, but he's still got that muscle memory. And if he can just keep going, you feel that there could be an amazing final chapter still to come.
Yeah, Andy, just on the spectacle as well, I suppose he could have bowed out at Wimbledon with the emotional interview sent to court. It wasn't too populated, the Suzanne Langlois court tonight. Do you think it's better that he does at least get to a prime time exit if he is to leave the sport before the final?
Yeah, in a way, I did think that the other day that, the Suzanne Langlois court doesn't hold that many. There wasn't many there for his first round game. By all accounts, even fewer there tonight in Paris. It would be good if he I assume when they get to the semi-final stage, if he gets that far, they go on to the Philippe Chartier course, the main course at Roland Garros. And it would be, but in a way, again, it was almost quite fitting, because if anything, Andy Murray's a humble guy. And listen, he enjoyed that Wimbledon farewell. He basked in it almost. However, he's a humble guy. And I think if he had his farewell game on your local tennis court in the park with one man and his dog watching, he'd still be giving his all and it'll still mean the world to him. So I think actually it probably doesn't make that much difference at this stage.
I'd love to see that down at my local park, Andy. Thank you for that vision. Let's just get to trap shooting now. Back to the male. Tears of joy for Nathan Hales, the man with the golden shot. And Sean, you talk about delivering on the big stage, and Hales delivered and then some, didn't he? 48 out of 50 shots landing. Yeah,
I think until about 2 p.m. this afternoon, I don't think many of us would have much idea what men's trap competition involved. But he was sensational. He does hold the world record of 49 out of 50. But to do it against this fearsome Chinese guy who's these 2 are the best 2 in the world, and to hit 40 out of 50 was incredible. And he talked about how he tried to control his breathing just to help him calm with the pressure and the heat. I mean, it was 95 degrees out there. And, he broke down some tears on the podium, and it was all very sweet. And the Olympics really is almost like this giant theme park, really. We get all these sort of wonderful, magical rides that we don't often go on, and we only really go on them once every 4 years. And I think what Nathan Hales did absolutely summed that up, and it really was... was quite special.
I think what us lesser mortals, Andy, admire about great athletes is the ability to keep the nerve under pressure. And I suppose this sport epitomises that, doesn't it? Nathan Hales' performance in the clutch moments.
Absolutely, you watch that. I mean, again, Sean referenced the weather there. Bear in mind, they're about 170 miles south of here, south of Paris. Is the shooting range, the Olympic shooting range. By all accounts, it was nudging 40 degrees Celsius down there. By all accounts, and he's like, he's got the heavy gun. You're watching it; it's incredible skill. And bear in mind that Olympic record that he's set, 48 out of 50. He does have the world record, 14 out of 50. The previous Olympic world record, the previous Olympic record was 43. So he smashed that. And it was the way he also said that actually the Chinese competitor missed a couple, so it gave him a little bit of a buffer, but he just kept in the zone and he kept hitting him. It was remarkable. And there's a broader discussion really about the Olympics. These are is Andy Murray and that sort of story a better Olympic story than Nathan Hales? And that's a discussion probably for a whole show. As whether I love this type of story. The guy we hear about once every 4 years. We hear about Andy Murray every single day. We hear about this guy once every 4 years. We might not hear about him again. That's the brutal truth. Lovely to have his moment in the Olympic spotlight. That's what these games are all about.
And I suppose it's about igniting interest in different sports, isn't it? Sure, not everyone can be a 100-metre sprinter or a marathon runner, but it may be that someone has a keen eye and suddenly alerts their interest to what's out there.
Absolutely right. And I mean, that is, again, one of the great things about Olympics. You can see we saw Simone Biles, that we may come on to, win another gold medal, and she's 4 for 8. Also played today was Victor Wembanyama. He's a 7'4" or 5" Frenchman. And in between, you get Nathan Hales, who I think would admit himself he's got a little bit of a dad bod, and but has the most remarkable eye and the most remarkable skill. And it's great that we have sports that cater for everyone, all sizes, strengths and capabilities.
Yeah, great to see all the talent on show. Gents, we're going to take a quick break there, but we'll be back in just a few moments. And when we come back, we'll look at more of the sports pages in the morning's papers, including this in the Telegraph. Fernandez apologises on Chelsea return. Welcome back to you. You are watching Back Pages tonight, and welcome back to Sean Ingle, Chief Sports Reporter at The Guardian, and Andy Dunn, Chief Sports Writer for The Mirror and The Sunday Mirror. Gents, let's go to the inside pages of The Telegraph, a piece by Sam Dean and Tom Morgan. Sean, I'll come to you for this. Fernandez apologises on Chelsea return. Enzo Fernandez says sorry to squad in person after racist chant. Club vow to match donation to anti-discrimination charity. Do we have in some way to respect Fernandez for fronting up and apologising in public, or do you think that there's work still to be done here?
I think obviously it's the right thing to do from what he did. I also detect the hand of a crisis communications expert here. I mean, he's done 3 things really. He's apologised to his teammates, which is the right thing to do. He's told Chelsea will make a significant contribution to an anti-racism discrimination charity, and that's a good thing. And clearly they're trying to draw a line over it with a new season ahead. So I think that there's clearly been talks in the club just to make sure that they can move on from this. Whether it'll be enough, we don't know. FIFA's investigation into incident continues, and I think people watch him very carefully, particularly his teammate Wesley Fofana, who did say what he chanted. He called it uninhibited racism. So I guess it's a case of watch this space, but it's an important first step.
Andy, Enzo Maresca, speaking in the United States, has said the players were speaking, all laughing, and described it as a normal situation. Do you sense behind the scenes perhaps Maresca's less confident, or perhaps it's been as less straightforward as that suggests?
Well, I don't know how straightforward it was when Fernandez met his teammates. What I do know is that if it is an attempt to draw a line by Chelsea, I don't think that's going to happen. I would like to see Chelsea explain what exactly they looked into, how they looked into it, what their findings were. I think they should be far more transparent than just considering the matter to be closed. It's not closed. There is going to be a FIFA investigation. And in a way, of course, the authorities are the ones with the power to sanction Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea could, of course, but I think they were never likely to impose their own ban or something like that. FIFA have got that power to do so. So it's not over. Again, and it won't be over. You can draw a line under it, but crowds around the country won't draw a line under it. Opposition players will not draw a line under it. Whether the French players in particular at Chelsea are drawing a line under it, I don't know. I would find it very hard to believe that would be totally the case. So no, I think it's far from over. And I think Chelsea in particular, Yes, they've probably done some crisis communication business, but I don't think it's going to work. I think this is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Out here, we've seen, Argentina athletes booed by French fans, by French crowds. So it's not over, no, not at all, Teddy.
Okay, well, Andy, let's stay with you and get back to where you are, the topic as well that you've been watching tonight. GB pipped at the last as Biles steals the show. Simone Biles in the women's team gymnastics event. How special was that to be there tonight?
Oh, it was very special, and it ended up being special on two fronts. You mentioned that there, and we should not give that prominence. Team GB was so close to an unexpected bronze, and when Alice Kinsella got off the beam at the end and got her score, they thought they got the bronze, and then the scoreboard showed they were pipped by 0.263, I think it was, something like that, basically by a whisker. And then they were all there watching Simone Biles. Every gymnast had finished, and the floor was clear for one final gymnast to do one final routine, and it was Simone Biles, and she absolutely nailed it, winning that 5th gold medal with the team. The scenes were fantastic, and it just felt significant after what happened in Tokyo. That was during the team event that she got what they call the twisties, and she couldn't, she had to abandon some routines, and then of course she took that break. This was a moment tonight when Simone Biles is not only back, she's as good as ever, as dazzling as ever, as compelling as ever. She's not just the face of the Team USA here at the Olympic Games. She could well be the face of the Olympic Games.
You mentioned Simone Biles previously, Sean, I think in the previous part. Where does she stand in the pantheon of Olympic greats now? I think 38 total medals across Olympics and World Championships.
I mean, I would actually extend it to beyond the Olympics. I mean, when we talk about the greatest people in sport, we would obviously talk about Messi, we would talk about Djokovic. Until recently, we would talk about Serena Williams. But I think Simone Biles really is right up there. And I've had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, of seeing her in Rio. I also was there in Tokyo when she had the twisties. But when you see her do what she can do, it's out from a different planet. It really is. And I'm so glad after not just what happened to her in Tokyo, but the abuse she got on social media, the criticisms she got from certain people in the United States, for her to come back and prove, as Andy said, that she's as good, perhaps even better than ever, is really quite special.
It's a great story, isn't it, as well? I know she has an individual event to come as well. The story may get even more dramatic. Let's talk about an event we were looking forward to, Sean. You keep getting up at 4 a.m. to hopefully cover. It's a triathlon, back page of the Times. So I'm sure you've seen Matt Lawton down there as well, because he's writing this climate-caused triathlon farce. Where do we stand, Sean? And do you think climate change, as serious as it is the excuse, or perhaps the organisers could have seen it coming?
Well, they're going to measure the same one last time at 2:30 a.m. Tomorrow. So in about an hour after that, they will let the world know. Organisers said today it was about 60-40 chance of going ahead, but they've been very confident that we'd have practice sessions and it would go ahead today, and it didn't. So I think that's should be taken with a little bit of a pinch of salt. As for climate change, I think they have been unlucky in some respects, because they've spent £1 billion, more than £1 billion, on trying to clean the river. And we'd love to be out swimming the Thames or the Mersey or whatever. And it is a lot cleaner than it was. Unfortunately, the opening ceremony on the Saturday got an awful lot of rain, and that's led to sewage going into the Seine. So I have some sympathy. At the same time, they took a risk. They wanted the iconic moment. They wanted people jumping in to the Seine. They wanted triathletes running past the Eiffel Tower. So they've taken a risk, and now it looks like it may backfire. But we'll only know for sure in a few hours' time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for staying up with us, Sean. We can get to bed in just a second. Andy, what are your reflections on what you've experienced in Paris then, organisationally?
Oh, it's been fine. It's been, listen, an event of this magnitude, and it's hard to explain to people who haven't been to Olympic Games how big it is. I mean, an event of this magnitude, it's always going to have problems, and from the very moment at the opening ceremony, there was a deluge, a 4-hour-long deluge on the opening ceremony. Those organisational powers are tested, and yeah, they're going to fail at times. And yes, the security is overwhelming at times. But, so far, I think it's good. I think the sport has been great. The competition's been brilliant. I think you've just got to, if you are here, and you're coming to the games, you've got to be patient in terms of getting to and from venues, get into venues. But other than that, it's just one. As soon as they let the games begin, is said in the opening ceremony, the sport takes over, and the sport, goes above everything. And I think so far it's been great. If it's, what is it now, day 4? It feels like it's been going on for weeks, and we've got a lot more to come, an awful lot more to come.
It's a great summer of sport, isn't it? All round, Olympics topping that off. It hasn't been, though, for Jack Grealish. I want to get to the back page of the Mirror, Sean. I got a piece with him, Neil Moxley, reporting, City star with a point to prove. My England heartache. Grealish reveals agony of his 3 Lions Euro snub, but vows to bounce back. He turns 29 in September. How big a year, Sean, is it for Jack Grealish?
Oh, it's clearly enormous. And Neil Moxley's very well connected Midlands guy, so would know Jack for a long time, and it's really got him to pour his heart out, as you say. He didn't have a great season for City last year either, did he? And I think it was a sort of double knife through the heart not to be selected for England. I guess the hope is he's still young enough that he can look certainly towards the next World Cup, and this sometimes might fire him up. There were scenes of him last summer partying and having fun, and understandably so, celebrating City's incredible Champions League and League and FA Cup win. Maybe if he does knuckle down, sometimes you do need adversity to sort of light the fire, and hopefully England and Man City will see the best of that.
Yeah, wish him all the best for the next season. Let's quickly reflect on cricket. Matthew Mott, no longer the England coach in the shortened format. Andy, you got about 20 seconds. Flintoff, though, not in running to succeed. Mott, not experienced enough, writes Will McPherson. Is that about right? Do you think the Freddie Flintoff dream isn't right for now?
Well, there are many reasons why you can say to Freddie Flintoff it's not the right time. Yes, he's only just returned to be involved in the game. Yes, he's inexperienced as a coach. Some people will say he's only now in there because of his great friendship, really good friendship with Rob Kay. You can make a whole list of reasons why he shouldn't be the white ball coach. But I'll give you one reason why he should be the white ball coach. He's Freddie Flintoff. Simple as that. And I'm gutted that he's not going to be.
We'll leave it on that note, Andy. Maybe in the future we shall see. Andy, Sean, thank you very much for your company tonight. Thank you for watching. If you missed any of the show, another chance to see Back Pages tonight at hour. Also available as a podcast. Download Back Pages on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can join us again on Wednesday night when our guest will be ESPN senior writer Mark Ogden and The Times chief sports reporter Martin Ziegler.